What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Figure Annuity Sales podcast. It's Caleb North here, and this week I was really thinking about what's something we've never really talked about before that could have some massive impact. And you start thinking about topics and whatnot. It's like, golly, it feels like everything annuity related we've probably covered in some capacity. And I started thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? There are things, skills, abilities that can be developed that are not inherently related to annuity production that will go to enhance annuity production immensely. And so what I've done is I started thinking through a handful of different things that I see in top producers. And I work with top producers. I've got a bunch of top producers. Okay. I work with a handful of top producers. And when I say top producers, I'm talking about like industry type leaders. And what I've seen in these top producers are certain skill sets that, again, are not necessarily inherently related to annuities, not inherently related to insurance. In fact, I would argue they're completely unrelated, but they have massive impact. And so I'm going to work through these. And the first one that I see when I look at top producers is I see leadership skills. When you look at some of these agents that are writing 15, 20, 25, 30 million a year in annuity premium, you're dealing with agents that are good leaders. Now, here's the thing. Some people are born with natural leadership skills, and that's good. That will bode well for those that have that naturally. But leadership is also one of those skills that you can develop. You can read books. You can listen to podcasts. I would highly, highly encourage you, whether you're a good leader already naturally, or it's something that you would, if you were being honest with yourself, you say, I don't really see myself as a great leader. I would encourage you to develop that skill. Okay? Because what you are doing in a sale is you're not just merely trying to convince someone of something. You're trying to influence them. Well, influence, to a degree, is predicated on leadership. The more, and different types of leaders, right? You've got thought leaders, just people that are subject matter experts. So you can actually gain leadership on your subject matter expertise. That's a very real thing. And so it's not to say you shouldn't be studying product and you shouldn't be learning the industry. You absolutely should be. But there are also leaders that they gain their leadership based on their charisma. There are leaders who gain their leadership based on their character. And the more of those things you can combine together into one package, the more you have a good leader. Authenticity is a huge piece, right, for leadership. And so I would encourage you, that's to me the number one piece is, if you want to try and develop any one specific skill that will go to benefit your annuity production, develop leadership. But the other cool thing about it is it's not something that, it just only impacts your annuity production. This is something that's going to impact you in all of your life, in every facet and area of your life. The second piece here is your teaching skills. Now, when I look at top producers, generally speaking, there are minor, not a bunch of exceptions, but I can think of a couple exceptions where these people are generally good teachers. And to me, the mark of a good teacher is somebody who can take what is currently perceived as a complex subject and simplify it. I'll tell you guys a quick story. When I was in college, I took my freshman year of college, I took college algebra. And I started taking algebra classes when I was in 7th grade. It was supposed to be kind of a 8th or 9th grade type class. I was a little bit ahead in the math or whatever. It's all good. So math kind of came naturally to me. But algebra was not an area of particular strength for me. It wasn't something that just clicked naturally. I remember being a 7th grader and my dad would stay up and learn kind of the next day's or next week's algebra lessons so that he could help teach me at home and help me with my homework. So I was the one in the class, but he was learning it to be able to help teach me. That's how it was not just a natural thing for me. Well, I get through middle school, get through high school, you take algebra a few different times, you get to college, you get to take it again. Well, of all of my years in school, and I'm talking from kindergarten through graduating college, my college algebra final average for the semester was the single highest average that I have ever had in any class. I finished the semester with a 108 average in algebra. And the reason is not because I was somehow a good algebra mind. It's not like I've got some, algebra wizardry going on in my brain. It's because I had a phenomenal professor. And I remember him. If I saw him in the store, I could point him out. I could call him by name. And this guy, he could just take these algebraic concepts and make them, speak them in a way, communicate them in a way that I could understand. So I go into that with these things that are seemingly complex, and I come out of it with the highest average of any other class that I've taken. And in hindsight, I realize I can't even take real credit for that. It's like, that's how good of a teacher he was. And I've had some phenomenal teachers, but I will say teachers even that I had better relationships with than he and I did, whatever. But I will say that when it comes to teaching, the ability to teach, he was the single best teacher that I've ever had. And it was built on his ability to take a complex subject and simplify it. So in our world of annuities, I would encourage you, develop your ability to teach. If you can combine leadership skills with teaching skills, you will end up just all other things the same. Just by those two things being enhanced, you will write more annuity business. I guarantee you. And so again, teaching being the ability to take a complex subject and simplify it. So the barometer that I would use to kind of determine, am I communicating these things in a simple way, is, can someone who is not an annuity expert, who is maybe not even financially savvy, understand the concepts you're communicating when you communicate them? So a good test for this would be, have a friend, a kid, a grandkid, somebody that, again, doesn't understand annuities already. It doesn't really have a ton of financial literacy. Have them sit through your appointment, your whole appointment process. And if they can come out of the other side understanding conceptually what you're communicating, you're probably doing a pretty good job. If they cannot understand it, you're probably not doing a great job, and that's something you're going to want to refine and work on. You want to keep it simple. The more complicated you make it, the more difficult it is for people to make decisions. You want them to understand it, but people learn and understand things in terms that they're already familiar with, generally. So learn how to communicate complex subjects in a way that is simplified and easily understood, and watch how your teaching improves and ultimately your sales as well. Now, the next skill that I would encourage you to develop, that again, unrelated to annuities, but will have the impact in your annuity business, is your interpersonal relations. Okay? This is listening and hearing. This is communicating. This is eye contact. This is body language. This is the ability to develop a relationship quickly with someone. Interpersonal relations is what's going to help build your trustworthiness and also help make people want to continue to work with you. So the more you can develop those interpersonal relationship skills, the easier it will be for you to convert somebody that you don't really have any existing relationship with into a customer, and the easier it will be for you to retain that customer over time. Okay? So you want to develop your interpersonal relationship skills. And again, when we're talking leadership, we're talking teaching, we're talking interpersonal skills. These are all things that you don't need me or Chad or your IMO marketer or your insurance wholesaler, your insurance company wholesaler to be an expert on, that you can call up and ask them how to do it. There are gurus out there in all of these areas, people far more versed in developing these skills than anybody probably that you'll see specifically in this industry. So that's what I'm saying. These are skills that you can develop outside of the industry, but they will impact you in this industry. Now, the last thing, and it's kind of a twofold on the last thing, because from my observations, there tends to be two different general types of agents. A lot of times you have agents who are extremely detail oriented, extremely administratively strong. Okay, they cross their T's, they dot their I's, they want to make sure they've got all their ducks in a row. And then you have the more spontaneous visionaries, the more impulsive types, I would say. And again, this is a generalization, but I mean, literally 95% of the agents that I've ever dealt with tend to fall in one of these two categories, right? Where they tend to either be more visionary, more impulsive, more just kind of, throw it all at the wall, see what sticks, do it and ask for forgiveness, but easier to ask forgiveness than permission type deal. And then you have the others that are a lot more detail oriented. They want to know all the intricacies, the inner workings. They're very administratively strong, those types of things. And so you've got these two people, these two types of people, and you can probably already identify which side of this you tend to fall in more. And it is, of course, a spectrum, but generally they tend to oppose each other. Generally, people who are hyper impulsive and visionaries tend not to be as detail oriented or as concerned with, getting everything, the ducks in a row and getting everything in the right order and all of that. So they do tend to oppose each other in nature. Now, if you are more of a visionary, impulsive, kind of a take action, quick action type of individual, I think that's a great strength. But you probably need to enhance your detail orientation, your administrative side of things, right? You're probably the type of individual that's been told before you're scattered, you've got too many irons in the fire, you're moving too quickly, those types of things. You probably should work to enhance your administrative skills. Or if you're not going to enhance your administrative skills, then it's something you need to have systems and processes in place that cover that weakness, or outsource it to somebody entirely. And then the other side of the spectrum is, again, you have those people that are more detail-oriented, they're more administrative in nature, they like to have all their ducks in a row. The skill you need to probably develop is taking action. Jump in, get started, do the thing, start executing. It doesn't have to be perfect from the beginning, but you got to take action. You got to move. And so it's two different sides of the spectrum. Now, I think the first three are applicable across the board. Okay. Everybody could stand to improve their leadership, their teaching, their interpersonal relationship skills. You could be high in any of those things, extremely good at any one of those things, and you still have room to improve it. Okay. The last one there is a little bit more specific. Like those visionaries, action orientation, impulsive types, you probably don't need to work on taking more action. It's the opposite of that you need to try and cultivate or at least cover in some way. Those of you that, again, are more detail oriented, get your ducks in a row, get everything right from the start, kind of perfectionist mentality, right? Want to know all the intricacies and inner workings before you even open your mouth. You need to work on taking action. You probably don't need more detail orientation. You probably don't need more explanation on how this thing works. You need to start doing. And so that last one there is a little bit more specific to you and where you might be, but I would encourage you to self-assess. Okay? So there should be 4 things there that everybody listening to this podcast today can take away and start to cultivate and start to work on. And I guarantee you that if nothing else changes, your lead flow stays the same, your process stays pretty much the same, Your IMO stays the same. The carriers and products you're working with stay the same. If all things were to stay the same and you go to improve those 4 areas, you will, as a result, write more business. Guarantee you. I will stamp my, and if somehow those of you, that are listening to this, you want to challenge, go learn and improve these 4 areas. And if you don't see an increase in your production, let me know. Okay. I'm talking legitimately improve it. Improve your leadership, your teaching, your interpersonal skills, and whatever, category you fall into there on the 4th one. Go and improve those things. And if your production does not increase year over year, you reach out to me, you let me know, I'll figure out a way to make it right for you. But I am so confident in these 4 areas because I see it so consistently in top producers. So I hope this helps you guys. I hope this is something practical that's a little bit different from our normal topics of conversation. But as always, if you have any questions or need anything, reach out to us. And again, as always, happy selling.